How do I ask for reassurance from a partner without feeling needy? Okay, so here's the thing. Needy is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that there is a difference between a person who has needs and asks for them and may have experienced some negative societal messaging about that, particularly because of the scripts that we have around heteronormative dating, and someone who is like what I would call a more negative connotation of needy, which I would describe as like a cup with holes in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it's just going to flow out. So the first question I would ask here is, are you actually needy, or do you just have needs? Because everybody has needs. Nothing wrong with having needs, right? If you're asking for reassurance, does it actually work? If you ask someone, hey, can you just reassure me that you like me and you're in this and that this is not about you trying to find a replacement for me? And they say, absolutely, I love you, you're amazing, I love all these things about you, you're important to me, I just like to have multiple partners, this is not at all about you or not wanting to be with you. Does that work? Does it land? Do you accept it? Do you take it in? Do you believe it? If you do, ask. You're not being needy. You have needs. Everybody needs reassurance sometimes. If you feel needy, that's your own fears and insecurities about being stigmatized or labeled for being a person who has needs. Those fears are valid, and we don't need to listen to them, right? Like, those fears probably come from a very valid place, and we don't have to do what they say. Now, if someone says, absolutely, I love you, you're amazing, I'm so with you, I love this so much, and you're like, well, but are you though? And it just doesn't ever land, it doesn't ever fill it up, it doesn't ever work, that's when you're being needy in that kind of more challenging way. That's when what you're looking for is for someone to solve your own internal emotional problem rather than for someone to meet a need that you have or a want or a desire that you have. If you keep getting told the same thing by a person and it is something that you just can't let it sink in, it just keeps being a thing you need more reassurance about, that is a sign that there is something you need to unpack there, or that there is some way in which you're getting like mixed messages, or you have some reason you feel like you can't trust what they're telling you. So let's do the first one. It's about your own insecurities. All of us have insecurities and fears, especially if we have a history of really challenging relationships, familial, romantic, both. It can be hard for us to believe that somebody actually wants to be with us. And on the flip side, think about how frustrating it would be if you were with someone who you loved and they kept trying to convince you that you didn't really love them or care about them. You were just lying to them about it to keep them on the hook. Like, that's a shitty thing to think about your partner, right? So sometimes what our insecurities do is turn us into assholes that have these really shitty stories about our partners that we just are not stopping or doing anything about, right? And so it may be a good time for you to check in with yourself and ask, like, is this insecurity turning me into a jerk in terms of the ways that it's making me think about my partner? It's also important to look at, like, where does this insecurity come from? Like, how did I learn that this was something I needed to be afraid of or worried about? And how can I heal that, right? Like, how can I move forward trusting what my partner tells me? So this plays into, like, the second one, which is, like, where you feel like what your partner is saying and what they're doing don't line up. If you're in a situation where your partner says, of course, I'm in this with you, of course, I care about you, you're really important to me, and then they, like, don't talk to you for 2 weeks, when you get mixed messages, believe the bad ones, right? Most of us, when we get mixed messages, we're trying to find, like, empathy and understanding for, like, why the thing happened, that it's not their fault, and they're still really in it, and they still really mean these nice things. And the thing is that, like, a part of them might mean those nice things and really believe them, and their behavior is also giving you information. So if you feel like what you're hearing from a partner is not the same as what you're hearing from their actions, it's worth having a conversation with them more directly about that, right? Where, like, what you need at that point is not necessarily reassurance. What you need is a clarifying conversation, right? Which might look like, you know, I hear you saying that I'm important to you and you want me in your life and you want us to be in, like, a deep and committed relationship, and I have no idea what you're doing in your day-to-day life, and I don't hear from you unless I text you first. So I don't know how to jive those two messages. Can you help me understand what's going on here? Like, how do you see us having this kind of deep and meaningful committed relationship while also having this kind of deep compartmentalization? Like, how does that work? Right? I think a lot of us, we're trying to like not kind of call attention to that mixed messages, to those mixed messages and that mixed behavior, because I think a lot of times we fear that if we do call attention to it, we'll get clarification we don't want, that it is actually the negative messages that are more true. I think a lot of us, most people, when we start a relationship with the best pieces of someone, right? That's what people tend to put their best foot forward. We tend to see the idealized versions of them as we begin to date them and form connections with them. We tend to minimize their faults or failings or the areas in which they are still learning and growing. And as a result, we set ourselves up to be disappointed by these people when they inevitably fail to live up to this idea of them that we have created and constructed and are holding on to. And so I think it's important for all of us to regularly check in with ourselves about, like, am I seeing the reality of this person? Am I seeing what I want to see of this person? Like, am I involved in a relationship with this full, complicated, messy, imperfect person in front of me? Or am I building a relationship with this idealized version of who they could be if they did all these things right and they did the things the way I think they should? I think sometimes when we're looking for reassurance, we're looking for someone to tell us, no, I'm definitely that idealized version, when like they're not, and we need to check our reality, right? And so I think it's important when we're asking for reassurance to look at, like, is this reassurance something that I need right now? Is it something I'm actually going to be able to accept? What is it about? Like, why am I wanting this reassurance? Am I feeling confused? Am I getting missed messages? Am I just having an insecurity moment? Like, what is this? What is it that's going on here? And like, figure out what you need in order to be able to take that reassurance and accept it and have that be good, versus being that like cup with holes in the bottom that no amount of reassurance will ever fill.